Baseball isn't just numbers, numbers, numbers.
This game is not being played on computers.
You don't do that with a bunch of statistical gimmicks.
You don't put a team together with a computer.
We're talking weighted runs created plus,
expected WOBA,
his sweet spot rate,
defensive runs above average,
average exit velocity,
barrel rate,
xFIP,
BABIP,
SIERA.
We are above replacement radio. And welcome to Above Replacement Radio, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing well, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well as well. We are talking today a little bit about some of the award races because not a whole lot has gone in the last not a lot has gone on in the last couple weeks. Talked about the standings last week. The only, I guess, relevant news is the Brewers just keep winning. I think they've won
14 in a row.
Yeah, they've won 14 in a row. Pretty unbelievable. I think we'll probably have to keep tabs. If they keep winning into next episode, it will be history. So yeah, we will probably keep updated on that. As you know, obviously what's credited as the longest win streak ever is that Giants one, but they tied a game, so that's not a winning streak, it's an undefeated streak. So
I remember during the Cleveland winning streak in 2017, Jose Ramirez had 13 14 in a row tweeted what do you mean you can tie in a baseball game?
Yeah, exactly
Back when Jose Ramirez was on Twitter and very good at it, if people remember that era.
Right. So yeah, we'll have to keep tabs on that. But other than that, not a whole lot going on. But one of the premier pitchers in baseball did just get injured. Something around, it was a very, very strange injury, not something that you hear about too much. It was something to do with blood clot near shoulder. Which is, obviously anytime the shoulder's involved, you do have to get a little bit worried about what's going on. What did you think about this news?
Yeah, so Zack Wheeler is going down for the Phillies for a undetermined amount of time with blood clots and his knee, I believe was what was reported, as you just said. Jeff Passan said there's no timetable for return. I don't know if there's much precedent to this in baseball, at least that I can think of. This is obviously very unfortunate. Zack Wheeler is a guy that you want to watch every time he's out there. He's certainly appointment television for me, especially now that we know that there is limited amount of time on his career. Supposedly he was retiring after whatever the 2027 season is going to be, but luckily this comes at a non-super emergent time for the Phillies, I would say. Currently, they're 5 games up in the division and tied with the Dodgers for the second wild card, and they have 98.7% odds to make the playoffs at this point. They are still fighting for something, certainly. They're fighting to get a first-round bye in the playoffs. They're tied with the Dodgers for the 2 seed. The 1 seed's probably out of question at this point, with the Brewers being 8 games up on them. And then obviously, trying to make sure you win the division. The Mets are obviously taking themselves out of it, or at least have been over the last couple of weeks. But, the Phillies are only still 5 games up. That's certainly not, that's definitely not a guaranteed victory with about 7 weeks left in the season. So sucks that you don't have your ace. Luckily, the Phillies have other aces as well. They can still fill out a very good 5-man rotation without Wheeler. But, I think largely you just got to hope that he's back for the playoffs. I think more than anything else, that's where the Phillies are looking right now.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In terms of, how this affects their chances at the division, it's one turn through the rotation. They already have a very good rotation. I'm not sure how effective it will be. They have an 82% chance to win the division right now and a 99% chance to make the playoffs, according to Fangraphs. So luckily, I don't think it should affect much of that. At worst, I think they lose out on the division and get into a wild card spot. But a lot of other things would have to go wrong besides that injury in order for that to happen. Or the Mets would have to get really, really hot. But yeah, so Zack Wheeler's out. They have three other very good starting pitchers in that
Great pitch.
rotation with Sanchez, Luzardo, and Suarez.
And
And
Nola just came back too.
yeah, Nola just came back. So yeah, they have a good scenario there. Yeah, they, if they have to go out with that rotation in the playoffs, hypothetically, if Wheeler can't come back, then yeah, that's a very still a very formidable rotation. I think it's just a matter of if their offense um supplement that loss kind of in their own way and make up for it, because their offense does have a 99 OPS plus this year. It's slightly below average, so um you know, they kind of have to have a really good rotation, or a really good pitching staff in general to win in the postseason. So, Wheeler being out, even if they do have a great rotation, would have some effect there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do agree with that. Unfortunately, this likely takes Wheeler out of the running for the NL Cy Young race, which is, there's been a lot of discussion, especially earlier in the season, where it was, hey, Wheeler might be in it this year. This might finally be his year. He's never won a Cy Young. Looks like this could be his year. It probably wasn't going to be his year. I think he's given up, unfortunately, too many home runs this year. His pulled air rate is at a StatCast era high by a quite comfortable margin, which is unfortunate. But that's just the way that things were going. But this certainly does have shakeup in the NL Cy Young race, along with well, I guess just in the NL Cy Young race. I don't think it has anything to do with AL MVP.
Right, right. Yeah, Zack Wheeler, up to this point, 24 starts, 149 and 2/3 innings pitched, a 2.71 ERA and 2.98 FIP. He ranked in the National League. He ranked fourth in ERA, as well as fourth in FIP, and then third in innings. So he was certainly in that bunch. And, I'm sure if he kind of kept going along and maybe Skeens had a couple bad starts, I know he just came off a bad one, he would have been able to maybe take that. Um, as of now, Christopher Sanchez, his teammate, is also ahead of him in ERA and FIP, as well as FWAR and innings. So he kind of jumped Wheeler in that race. But yeah, it seems like that race is Skeens to win. However, Christopher Sanchez is kind of on his tail. It doesn't see it. It may not have been Wheeler versus Skeens anymore. It may be Skeens versus Sanchez now.
Yeah, the Cy Young Award is coming to Pennsylvania. It seems almost certain of certainty. Four of the top five pitchers in FWAR in the National League are all from the Phillies or the Pirates. It's Skeens number one, Sanchez number two, Wheeler number three, Logan Webb as the one outsider from California number four, and then Luzardo number five. But yeah, Sanchez is reasonably close. They're pretty close together in innings pitched. Sanchez with 150 and 2/3, Skeens with 148 flat. In terms of ERA, Skeens has a pretty clear advantage, 213 to Sanchez's 245. In FIP, it's 251 to 273. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty comfortably Paul Skeens to lose at this point, but I mean, it's, Christopher Sanchez, I don't think is like mathematically out of it. But yeah, I mean, I think Wheeler wasn't really close to Skeens at this point anyway, but I mean, I think in a way, this maybe does almost secure the award for Paul Skeens.
Yeah, it definitely makes his odds a lot better. The way the way Sanchez has trended since like the start of June or
It's
whatever,
crazy.
he he if he keeps going on that like Arrieta trajectory, he
No, he
might
literally
steal
like
it.
very quietly is on that kind of run right now.
Right, right. Something I think we're a little concerned about heading into the All-Star break was like the his lowered workload. But
Mm-hmm.
luckily for Skeens' at least Cy Young case, he has thrown at least 90 pitches in each of the last four starts. So
Yeah,
maybe that was kind of strategic in making sure that he can finish out the season strong. Um, so I guess he is doing that. But yeah, with Sanchez, yeah, Sanchez has. I think part of the reason why he didn't get selected for the All-Star game was because they probably make those selections a little bit, um, a little
I
bit in
forgot. I,
advance.
I forgot
And
about that. I
Yeah,
forgot about the fact that he wasn't an all-star this year.
yeah, they make it a little bit in advance, and like through May, he had a very respectable, a very good 3.32 and ERA and 3.38 FIP. But since then he has a 1.88 ERA and 2.30 FIP in 91 innings, in 13 starts. So he's averaging 7 innings per start since the start of June, which is crazy to say in 2025. But yeah, that's what he's been doing. So, if he trends that way, if he keeps going like that through the end of the season, it would be a very tight race, and it might be, advantage Sanchez.
Paul Skeens in his career, Chris, has a 204 ERA plus. Just felt like that was necessary to throw out there.
200, is his ERA like is his actual ERA like in the
205.
ones?
His ERA is 205. His ERA plus is 204, which is like it's a weird moment where your ERA plus and ERA are actually kind of the same number.
Yeah,
That doesn't happen quite often.
it really doesn't. That's
If you
pretty.
look at the all-time ERA plus list, minimum 200 innings pitched career, it's Emmanuel Clase number one, Mariano Rivera number two, and right behind Rivera, who by the way has 1 point lower, is Paul Skeens, Billy Wagner, and Takashi Saito is the top five. And Paul Skeens is like one good start away from passing Mariano Rivera on this list. Obviously, Romo has 1,000 more innings pitched, so I'm not by any means saying that one is better than the other, but but that's absurd.
Yeah, shout out Red Sox legend Takashi Saito.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's very cool to see, because I feel like um just thinking about it and thinking about like who are active Hall of Famers, who's going to be Hall of Famers. Not saying that Skeens is like cemented himself or anything, but he's sort of, I guess he's on that track, if there is a track set out for him. But I thought about, like, there's not a lot of active pitchers outside of the kind of Scherzer, Kershaw, Verlander crew, that you could confidently say will be Hall of Famers. Like Zack Wheeler, um, there's a chance, but we don't really know, and he would have to really be successful next year and the year after in order to make a case for himself. And I think part of the reason with that is just we haven't seen, outside of the Scherzer, or outside of the Verlander and Kershaw group, we haven't seen a lot of pitchers really succeed like from their mid 20s on or early 20s on. With Skeens, if he does this, then he could be that guy. He could be someone who, in the modern day and age, maybe gets 60 or 70 WAR, even as a starting pitcher in 2025, where your ceiling is capped because of the amount of innings you throw. He could be that guy. And seeing a pitcher excel in their early 20s, we haven't seen that in a while, so it's cool to see him do it.
If you look at starting pitchers in the history of the game with at least 200 innings pitched in the American League and National League, Paul Skeens has the highest ERA plus at 204. Number two, get ready for this one, Chris, is a guy named Jocko Flynn, who pitched 257 innings between the years of 1886 and 1887, put up a 159 ERA plus in the National League for the Chicago Cubs, although he only pitched in 86, so I don't know why the previous page says he pitched to 1887, because his reference page doesn't say that he pitched in that year. But he had a great 257 innings that year, put up a 2.24 ERA, which was a 159 ERA plus. And then rounding out the top five, it's Jim Devlin, who also pitched in the 1870s, and then Clayton Kershaw, Pedro Martinez.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty wild company that he's put himself in. And yeah, we just like with all the players in the last whatever decade who have come up and immediately been smashing successes, whether that be Acuna or Soto, even like Ellie De La Cruz to an extent, Jackson Merrill last year, like a bunch, a bunch of players, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a bunch of players having, MVP caliber or, top five MVP worthy seasons in their age, like 21, 22 seasons. We hadn't really seen a pitcher version of that. and now we have that with Paul Skeens. I think that's part of why he got, he was part of the MLB The Show cover, and like pitchers are never on MLB The Show covers. It's cool to see him kind of take over. It's cool to see a young pitcher be at the be at the forefront of like the face of baseball kind of a narrative that's going on.
I got another one for you here. Uh, Among all pitchers in any league throughout the history of baseball with at least 15 innings pitched, which is like a month if you're a reliever today. Paul Skeens is the only pitcher in baseball history with a 200 or higher ERA plus and a 4.5 strikeouts per walk or higher. If you remove innings filters, you have Bob Hogan, who pitched 8 dominant innings in 1882, and then a guy named Juan Pena, who pitched 13 innings in 1999, but then got injured, who put up an 0.69 ERA and also had 15 strikeouts and 3 walks in 13 innings pitched.
Yeah.
And then there's Paul Skeens with 281 innings.
It's historic, and I guess like it should be talked about a little bit more, because this just is it's sort of unprecedented. If you see like our top, our pitcher, top 10 pitchers that we had this past off season when we rated them, Skeens was by far the youngest guy in there, if I recall correctly. I mean, I think I had Yamamoto, who's like 26. Skeens is 22 or 20. Is he 22 or 20?
He's 22. He's 23 this year.
He's 23.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I had Yamamoto, who I think is 26, but yeah, like Webb is a few years older. Corbin Burns obviously a few years older. Zack Wheeler definitely older. Tarek Skubal is in his late 20s. There's no one at his level that young at this current moment, and frankly, and as you're pointing out, not a lot that young, that dominant in baseball history. So it's you gotta appreciate that. And if he wins Cy Young, that is a pretty excellent accomplishment to do at age 23, the way the game is trending. But yeah, anything more on the National League Cy Young race?
Yeah, I mean, it's Skeens to lose, although Sanchez is like mathematically still in it. I think that's kind of the takeaway that we have here.
Yeah, a sneaky guy that could like be a finalist. I'm only saying this because he's third in ERA. Matthew Boyd.
That would be sick. Hey, that's a player to watch of mine.
Yeah, I mean that is the hit of all hits right there. 2.46 ERA, and even though I mentioned just ERA, a 3.18 FIP is pretty excellent as well. So I am curious to see how voters vote, like if they do, how many of them do pay attention to peripherals. I know it's not 100%, but I'm sure there's a fair amount that do pay attention to peripherals and stuff like that.
One thing that I want to do with you this year when we get to award voting is I want to do a draft of predictions we have in terms of writers that will give an otherwise unpopular vote in any award to a guy from the team that they cover. Because we see those every year. Like, I don't know, for my first pick, I got, a Chicago writer giving Matthew Boyd a top 3 Cy Young vote.
Yeah, I just remember
like that.
I remember like I think the first year we did the show, someone gave like Vladimir Gutierrez like a second place Rookie of the Year vote from Cincinnati.
Yeah. Wait, let me go back. I don't. Oh yeah. Okay. Let me check that one. I'm assuming that had to have been a Cincinnati writer. He did finish 8th in Rookie of the Year voting in 2021. I don't know if I can see if he got I can't see if he got a second place vote or not. I'd have to go on bbwaa.com for that one.
Right.
All right, can I pull up press releases from 2021 on this website? Is that how that works? Oh, you have to go. Shoot. All right. BBWAA 2021 NL Rookie of the Year. That was the year that Jonathan India won it. All right. Yeah, here it is. Here's the press release. There was a 3rd place vote for Vladimir Gutierrez. But however, he was a Miami writer.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, that's not what I was expecting.
That's not the juicy scoop I wanted. Um, but yeah, it
The
would
one
be.
guy, the one guy who gave India a second place vote was a Cincinnati-based writer. Although to be fair, it's Dan Szymborski, who is a national writer for Fangraphs,
Mm,
which is
yeah,
ironic. But when you give more context, it makes a little bit more sense.
right, right. Yeah,
There was a
absolutely.
David Bednar got one vote, which was a third place vote that came from a Pittsburgh writer. If you want some sort of homerism in there,
Ah, yeah, yeah. Um,
so there you go.
Shout out to Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He's top 5 in the NL in ERA and FIP, but I don't think my Cy Young prediction will turn out for him necessarily. Um,
No, but your prediction that he would have the highest F4 among all Dodgers pitchers will almost certainly be correct.
oh, there we
That was
go.
my that
Nice.
was my that was my question. I was looking through some of those questions today. Um, yeah, I won't reveal much, but there were some excellent takes and some brutal ones, but that's kind of the entire nature of that game.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Well, I think I asked who would lead in innings on the Dodgers, and I think you said him, and I think that's also coming to fruition.
Yeah.
Obviously, as Glasnow, Snell, Kershaw, they are not they are not leading the Dodgers in
Who's
innings.
second? It's probably Dustin May.
I think no, legit, I think it is Dustin May.
No, like yeah.
Um, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Uh, but yeah, so yeah, the NL Cy Young race definitely
Is
changed a
confirmed
little
Dustin
bit.
May.
I guess we can I guess I can transition to the AL Cy Young race because I think depending on who you are, um, that is razor close or someone is comfortably ahead. Um, so
I'm sort of in between, I would
yeah,
say.
yeah,
Like
I
right
would agree as
now,
well.
like if the season ends today, Scooble gets it, and I don't think it's much of a discussion. However, this is, I think, far from over. Like you said, I don't know how much writers are going to look at FIP, but that's the clear difference maker here. Tarek Skubal and Garrett Crochet have an identical number of innings pitched, 152 and a third. Skubal has a 2.42 ERA, while Crochet is a 2.48. Like Crochet is pitching today, and he can shrink his ERA below Skubal's. However, FIP will be a much different story.
Right. Yeah, and
It's just strikeout to walk. They have the same number of home runs per nine.
yeah, they have the exact same number of home runs per nine. And it's mostly it is mostly walk. Although Scooble's on a strikeout
Yeah,
rate on a batter per
is
batter
marginally
basis.
higher. Yeah,
On a batter per batter basis, Scooble has a 33% strikeout rate. Crochet is at 31%. But yeah,
yeah, it's close.
I think what might help Scooble out is the fact that like their ERA is about the same and their innings are literally exactly the same at this point. So you do
Mhm.
have to look at other stuff to kind of have a tiebreaker if you're looking from the sort of ERA innings perspective, because I think a lot of people view the Cy Young as like best combination of innings and ERA. Maybe don't
Yeah.
look at the peripherals like that. I think that's a lot of why
Mhm.
there is a kind of a Crochet crowd.
And
But
I've talked about this on the pod before, but so like I don't know, it irks me that writers talk about FIP as a forecasting tool. Like it's literally not. FIP is based entirely on things that did happen in real life on the field.
yeah, right,
Like
exactly,
expected
exactly.
ERA, yeah, that's hypothetical. XFIP is hypothetical. FIP is based entirely off of stuff that happened in real life. There's no hypotheticals involved.
Right, yeah, exactly, exactly. Um,
Like obviously it can be used as a forecasting tool in I would say in moments of large disparity between the two. But like if it's but like with uh like I wouldn't look at Crow like Scooble's 2.42 ERA to his 2.6 FIP and be like, actually he should be better. It's like no, it's I think that's an appropriate. He's his ERA is relatively appropriate to how he's actually been doing.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Um, and yeah, it's just a great way to measure what is in the pitcher's what's in the most control of the pitcher. Um, I think that's kind of the basic nature of it. And yeah, at the things out of fielder's control, Skubal has been better. You know, it's a 2.26 ERA or 2.26 FIP versus 2.54. And it's yeah,
Hmm.
it's not a crazy difference, but if you had to call it now, yeah, I would give it to Skubal, and that's speaking as a Boston Red Sox fan who really enjoys watching Garrett Crochet pitch. But yeah, I think Skubal has been a slightly better pitcher. So I think he would get the nod for me. It would be interesting to see how writers would measure it now. It does help that Skubal's ERA now is better. It hasn't been Crochet's ERA has been better at certain points of the year, and also Crochet at one point I think had an innings advantage, but since Alex Cora kind of delayed his start at one point, that innings advantage has kind of gone away. But it'll be exciting. I mean, the competition is pretty great. Skubal is having a better year than he had last year, and the race it seems much more tight this year because of how great Crochet is doing.
I think what I really want out of this is that I wanted to stay close, and probably get closer because the regular season ends with the Tigers coming to Fenway, and if we could get a Skubal Crochet matchup that weekend, there's a lot of things that would have to go right for it to have that kind of incentive to, because one, the Cy Young race has to be close enough to where you feel like it could be determined by one start, which is unlikely. But I want to suspend disbelief for hope. Two, I would say both teams would have to be winning their division and even like be the top two teams in the American League. I would argue, because if one team has clinched a wild card berth, I don't think they're going to throw Crochet or Skubal the Friday before that series starts. Or maybe they just haven't clinched the playoffs at all and they need them to go out and have a big start. But that would be, I think, a very fun thing to happen.
Yeah, I would really really enjoy that. I think that would be great for baseball. But yeah, I mean, yeah, with seedings and all that, it it would make things interesting. But yeah, it does seem like a two-horse race
Hmm.
at this point. You know, Hunter Brown's had an excellent season. He's a little behind on innings and also, FIP wise, he's definitely further
Yeah,
behind Skubal and
I'm sure Hunter
Crochet.
Brown will enjoy the media session that he gets from being a finalist and getting to go on that little, award presentation show where he's on like the panel with Scooble and Crochet. And it's just like, all right, guys, it's nice to answer those questions. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I'll see you guys now. Before you announce who won, I'll see you guys later.
he's right in the mix ERA wise, but yeah,
Hmm.
FIP wise, he's at
Yeah.
2.92. The other two are, Crochet's at 2.54, Skubal's at 2.26, which is pretty unbelievable. Um, but yeah, ERA wise, he actually has a better ERA than Garrett Crochet, but he does have 9 1/3 less innings in the same amount of starts. So yeah, he'll be interesting to watch. I mean, if he goes on a crazy run, maybe he could get himself in contention. But yeah, it's a fun one. It's definitely one of the more exciting Cy Young races we've had in the AL in a good bit, I would have to
Yeah,
imagine. Maybe since 2019
that one was Verlander
and Cole.
and Cole. Yeah,
That
yeah, you're right. That
the
one could have
Ver
gone either way.
the Verlander Cole one was insane because their numbers were almost identical like on all fronts. It was
Yeah,
pretty wild, except I thought Cole should have won because of strikeouts and general peripheral numbers were a little bit better for him. Um
2021 was, what a weird one that was.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was the, yeah, I guess we got to give it to Robbie Ray year.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
2023 was the Garrett Cole didn't even have his best season, but he was clearly the best starter type of year.
yeah, exactly. It wasn't really a debate.
Yeah, 2022 was Verlander, even though he pitched 165 innings,
Right. It was
but he had a
Verlander's
1.65 ERA.
that was the Still and Cease runner-up year.
Yep.
That was
Is
fun.
that the year that we both picked him to win it?
Yep, yep.
And he finished second. Good on us.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting.
And then
Um
2024 was the school year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Skip.
there was no contest there. There was no contest
Absolutely.
anywhere last year. It was boring.
It was, yeah, it was
Everything was
unfortunately.
unanimous.
Yeah, but yeah, what seems to have a little bit more competition this year is the American League MVP
Yeah,
is um Aaron Judge. It does help for Cal Raleigh that Aaron Judge did have a brief IL stint, but he's looked a little bit more human, albeit he's still put up excellent numbers in this span, but in his where do I have to trail back to? Since June 12, um, he has a 929 OPS, which is much lower than the 1260 whatever OPS he had before
yeah.
then. I think part of that has to do with his kind of BABIP luck sort of subsiding. He has a 270 BABIP in this span. It was much higher before then, um, as his OPS through June or his BABIP through June 11 was 465. So his BABIP was 465 before then. It's 270 since, which makes sense. I mean, he was definitely getting a little bit lucky on ground balls and whatnot. I think his luck is now kind of where it should be at. Like I think his BABIP on the year is still like 394, which honestly, as someone who hits the ball as hard as he does, um, almost does still make sense. But yeah, they're only separated by point 0.3 F at this point. What do you think about the AL MVP race?
I think like the baseball world needs one of three things to happen, maybe two, maybe even three, but I don't want to wish for that. One of the three things of Cal Raleigh wins AL MVP over Aaron Judge. Uh, the Mariners win the AL West over the Astros, or the Padres win the AL or the NL West over the Dodgers. Uh, like I don't know. I think the people yearn for a little something different. Like Otani's clearly going to win NL MVP. Despite my prediction of P. Crow-Armstrong holding on, it doesn't appear as though that's going to happen at this point. But yeah, this is, I mean, other than Otani, this is, I think, the closest challenge we've had to Aaron Judge for an MVP, since he's began this incredible run in 2022. Like even Bobby Witt Jr., I don't think was ever this close last year. But Cal Raleigh is, yeah, he's 0.3 F4 behind. I think this is like, I obviously don't ever advocate this, but this is honestly a situation where I could see team success playing a role, with, like the Mariners, their offense was their big weakness in 2024, and that was the reason they missed the playoffs despite high expectations. And Cal Raleigh is the guy that led the offense, and if they make the playoffs, if they win the division, even, uh, then we have something different. And not only that, but he's a catcher, and the BBWA, as I have talked about on numerous occasions, loves voting for catchers in any scenario. And I do think that that will give him some kind of boost. Right now, I do think it's Judge's to lose. I think if the season ended today, it is Judge. But I don't know, the fact that it is I mean, I don't think there was definitely a point in the season where if you had told us on August 17th we would be having a real discussion about who wins AL MVP, we would be pretty surprised because it looked like Judge was pretty comfortably running away with it. But it is certainly closer than we had anticipated at other points this year.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And yeah, there's something to kind of the narrative of like a catcher kind of taking the team on his back and leading them to the playoffs. There is something about the BBWAA with catchers specifically. It's kind of why in 2024 I predicted Adley Rutschman would win MVP. Obviously, it didn't come close to happening, but one of the factors was, there I think the BBWAA would really eat up a catcher, really leading the team to the playoffs, or to a division title or whatever. So yeah, that is the case. There's just a lot of factors that make this race interesting or make the voting almost unpredictable. Like, um, if two players are close together in an awards race and one has significantly better hitting, it usually goes to the guy with the better hitting because people don't pay attention as much to defense or base running when it comes to award races and stuff like that. So I think that is an advantage to Judge because, just looking offensively, he has an 1135 OPS. His OPS is almost 200 points higher than Cal Raleigh's.
Yeah.
Cal Raleigh is obviously a much better defender. One of the best defensive catchers in baseball. Won a Platinum Glove last year. Um, isn't quite at the crazy elite level he was last year, I think, but still at a very, very high level. I guess what also should be considered is the B WAR numbers, which we don't really look at as much, but I think the writers would a little bit more. Aaron Judge has
Yeah, you're
6.8.
right.
Aaron
Oh,
Judge
I
has six.
hate that.
Yeah, especially for catchers, it really is unfair. Um, but Aaron Judge has 6.8. Cal Raleigh has 5.7 B WAR. So I think that could be an advantage for Aaron Judge. But yeah, part of me also hopes that it doesn't end up being that close, so I don't have to like get mad at certain takes that people have. Like in 2022, it really brought out the worst takes in people because of how close it was. And like there were people who I agreed with, but for the wrong reasons. Like I agreed. There were people who were like, yeah, Judge should win MVP, and I agreed with them, and they were like, he took his team to the playoffs, and I'm like, no, you're getting it wrong. But yeah, I'm that's kind of the that's kind of the race we're looking at. Where when things get close in MVP, sometimes it can bring out some interesting takes. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that.
I think I mean, I don't know. I had this similar opinion with Francisco Lindor last year, and I think we're now having it with Cal Raleigh, where it's like, damn, it really took them having to do this to get any kind of recognition for how good they are. Um, yeah, I mean, it's very cool to see Cal Raleigh be in this spot and become like a national star for sure,
Yeah,
regardless of
100%.
how this ends.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, no matter
I
what, it
wonder.
go ahead.
I wonder if there is. I mean, I don't think this will be a thing, but like, I almost wonder if there is a bit of like voter fatigue over Judge, where it's like, because a lot of people will probably think that Cal Raleigh came out of nowhere to do what he did this year, and that is true to an extent, but definitely not to the extent that a lot of people will think it does. Judge is like, there it's possible that like at the end of the year, it's a down year from, and on a rate basis, it's possible we see a down year from, the 2023 or the 2020, or not the 2023, but like 2024, 22. I mean, that is literally what we are seeing from 2024. Like he is having a worse year this year than he was last year.
Right, yeah. I mean, it is like how you talked about earlier that Witt wasn't as close to Judge as Raleigh is now, which is true. And that's no discredit to Witt. It was just Judge had a crazy high standard last year. He had a 220 weighted runs created plus an 11.3 F WAR. I think pace wise, I think Judge would be on pace for around 10 at this point, not 11.3. Still an unbelievable year. Um, but yeah, like his weighted runs created plus is down 19 points from last year. His general OPS is down, I think 24 points ish in I think a higher offensive environment. So that's going to knock down his league adjusted statistics. Um, and then yeah, count numbers wise, like I don't think he's going to get necessarily close to 60 homers. He'll probably get around 50 homers at this rate, but yeah, it's not quite to the level he was at last year, which does give Cal Raleigh a better chance.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do still think Judge is going to win it. I think the nothing ever happens allegations will not be beaten here.
Yeah, yeah. I think it'll go to Judge too, and I think it'll go to him because he deserves it. I think
I think,
he'll
especially with
earn
the
it.
offensive discrepancies, like at the end of the day, I do think that Cal Raleigh will have to lead an F WAR by a considerable amount to beat Judge because he's not going to out hit him. That's just absolutely not going to happen under any circumstances. Obviously, he can outplay him on defense as one of the best defensive catchers in the game. That's where like if he was a second baseman putting up these same numbers, like I don't even think there'd be a discussion. I mean, we literally saw a shortstop, you know, maybe not this close to Judge, but also putting up an incredible season last year, and there was barely ever a conversation about MVP.
Right, right, yeah.
And maybe the best defensive shortstop in the league at that too.
Right, yeah, exactly, exactly. Um, yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, Cal Raleigh, according to Fangraphs, ranked seventh in position player F4 last year. I think was probably behind just Scooble. So I think eighth among American League players in F4 last year. He ended up finishing 12th in MVP. Um, so I think sometimes he does get underrated in that respect, but either way, it's either he'll win MVP or get runner up, no matter what, probably. Um, but
You never hear about third place in the MVP voting, which would probably just be Bobby Witt Jr.
true.
On the quietest like 7-win pace of all time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It could go to Joe Ram too, just because his offensive
Either
numbers
or, yeah,
are a little bit better. Because I,
offensively.
in terms of like predicting who will get votes, you do have to unfortunately pay attention to like where people's B wars are at.
Hmm.
Because Wit is at 5.2 B war, Joe Ram is at 5.2. Um, F war wise, what Wit is definitely better, but maybe Wit has worse defensive runs saved than outs above average, and maybe that's something that the writers will take into account. Going off of B War, but it's interesting to recognize patterns because yeah, Bobby Witt Jr. only has +1 defensive runs saved. Um, I think defensive runs saved has always liked him less than outs above average. Um, so that's unfortunately been something that's gone against him, but yeah. But I think if I were a voter at this point, I would I would make him a finalist as well.
Yeah, I
Um,
would do the same.
he's he's been great. He's been great. It's just not not quite to the level of last year, which I guess which makes this not seem that big of a deal, but it is kind of a big deal what he's been doing. Also, his team isn't doing very well, so that's part of it. But yeah, American League
Is there really much to
MVP.
say about NL MVP at this point? Because I mean, Otani wrapped it up in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been I guess I should try to highlight the complete different trajectories that Pete
I got
Armstrong
it.
and Shohei Ohtani have gone.
I got some numbers real quick for you. So I mentioned that I predicted Pete Crow-Armstrong would continue to win it. That was certainly a bold take at the time, but I did truly believe it, but I did want to be, I didn't want to follow the nothing ever happens rules of just we get the same guys every year. Um, what I mentioned was that Pete Armstrong was going to need to keep pulling the ball, keep hitting it hard in the air, and if he couldn't do that, then it was not going to go very well for him, and that's exactly what we have. In the month of August, he's hitting like 130 or something like that with a 385 OPS. Throughout since August 2nd, he has pulled 37.5% of his fly balls, which is not far off from where he was before. However, none of those three pulled fly balls reached an exit velocity above 92 miles an hour. And that's not going to get it done unless you absolutely hook it down the line and have the perfect launch angle and are playing at the right ballpark. And Wrigley is absolutely not that ballpark. Um, and on top of that, he's striking out 34% of the time. Defense is still fine. Base running is still fine. But that's kind of where he's gone. And in the meantime, Shohei Ohtani has returned to peak form offensively while also being back on the mound and actually pitching deeper into games than he was before.
Right, yeah. So since August 2nd, Pete Armstrong has a 339 OPS. Shohei Ohtani in that span has a 1359 OPS. So that's what he's been doing. And then I should also check what he's done pitching wise since then. Since August 2nd, he's thrown 8 1/3 innings. Actually, not well, 5.40 ERA, but a 107 FIP. So
Yeah,
he
the
is
tip.
under the surface pitching very well. um,
Well, I mean, I'll just tell you this. Like again, we're talking about a DH versus the best defensive outfielder in baseball. So Otani would have to really, really out hit PCA to take hold in this race, and Ohtani has since passed him by 0.4 in position player F4, and that doesn't go into his pitching stats.
Right.
So I mean that's where we're at.
Yeah.
His I mean like Judge and Raleigh, Ohtani is about 200 points higher in OPS.
Yeah,
we're talking about a. Hang on a second. We're talking about a 1018 OPS for Ohtani and an 821 for PCA. So yeah, nearly 200 points of separation there.
Yeah, and then his a 3.47 ERA and 2.13 FIP in 23 and a third innings pitched. I'm so excited that he's throwing more innings because I mean the Ohtani experience in the playoffs, hoping it happens, will be, that'll be one of the biggest events almost in baseball history, I would have to imagine. I mean, a guy pitching and hitting to his level in the playoffs. I mean, obviously we never saw it with the Angels, so we've never seen that before.
No, I mean, you have to keep pulling up the World Baseball Classic clip of, him. Like, people only talk about him striking out Mike Trout. He also pitched other times in the WBC and was very good. Granted, in the first round, he was facing, like the Czech Republic, but he was still pitching well in that World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, no, he still looked amazing. Yeah, no, it's so great. I mean, we've been waiting for that pretty much since 2021. So to be able to get that, hoping that nothing comes up, or of course, maybe the Dodgers going on a crazy losing streak and missing the playoffs wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but the worst thing about that would be missing the Ohtani experience. But
yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, Ohtani did wrap up this will be his fourth MVP.
Correct. Yeah.
And I mean, obviously there's still a lot of season left and anything can happen, but it's like, is it possible that this would be probably not. I was going to say, would it be his worst MVP season? Actually, it would probably be 2021. Hilarious as that sounds.
Yeah. 2021, like everyone was up in arms because we hadn't seen it before. And now that we have seen it before, it's like, oh yeah, he's kind of just doing it again. But
yeah, he had a 150 weighted runs created plus, and we were all going crazy. It's like, what if he averaged 180 for 3 years straight, although didn't pitch that much?
Right, yeah. And the craziest thing is if Ohtani just didn't pitch again this year, he's still in the
100%.
He's still the front runner for MVP.
Something that I appreciate. I saw this clip on MLB Now like a couple of weeks ago, and like Brian Kenny's been saying for years Ohtani should be a reliever. And maybe we get to that point eventually. I'm not saying that that's not an unreasonable, thing to say. I think right now, as long as it's feasible, it should keep happening. But when did he make his pitching debut? Because I want to make sure I have this right. But he mentioned that Ohtani's slugging had dropped like 100 points from before he started pitching to after he had started pitching, and it was it went into that argument of like maybe he should not be pitching. So he had a 625 slugging, on it when he made his debut on the mound this year, and it went down a little bit. Now it's just back up. Now he is slugging 627. Like it's literally identical.
Yeah, and he's pitching more. So
yeah, exactly.
Like if anything, he would have more fatigue now.
And like there was merit to that. He had before that, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, no, now we're not having that discussion, like even a little bit.
Yeah, and the drop in slugging drop in slugging would be when he would have been throwing reliever in it, because he was throwing 1 inning per start for those first couple starts. And that's what relievers do. So like, that's kind of
from June from June 13th up until July 18th, the start of the second half, he was only slugging 533 and only had a 901 OPS, and by the way, had a 238 BABIP in that time.
Oh yeah, I think that's kind of the explainer of that.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess like the world of an Ohtani reliever, it would be interesting. I guess it would make for some cool moments, especially
Remember
if
when
like
people were talking about him coming out of the bullpen in the World Series last year, like Dave Roberts just surprising everybody? Like he
yeah.
had thrown a couple of bullpens, didn't even face live hitters, and it's like, yeah, but what if he closed out the World Series? Guys, what are we talking about?
But if he was a closer, he would have two like cool walking or jog walk out or jog out moments, and
Hmm.
it would be
Going out to the bullpen
going out to the bullpen.
and
It's
coming
like,
back
oh, he's
in.
gonna pitch.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then he finally
yeah.
comes out of the bullpen. But then there's the awkward moment of like if the Dodgers have a big eighth inning and he has to come, he has to jog back down and be like, yeah, it'd be like Little League all over again. Or like high school baseball when your incoming pitcher also is in the lineup.
Hmm.
It would be kind of weird. It would be interesting.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, it would have it is weird because it's like you'd have to pick a like you'd have to pick a time when he's not due up. Like, well, what if he has to come back into hit?
right, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, that is you do make a great point there.
It could
Otani intentionally makes the last out of the top of the eighth inning.
right.
It's like, all right, now I can go work.
Yeah, finally I can get to this.
Dodgers are up two. There's men on first and third with two outs. He's like, well, or with 1 out rather. He's like, well, I guess I got to roll the double play here.
Right. Um, yeah, for sure, for sure. So yeah, Shohei Ohtani, it looks like he will win National League MVP unless something goes awry for sure. I'm sure Pete Crow-Armstrong can kind of get out of this slump and still put together a solid runner-up season. But yeah, Ohtani is definitely it seems like everything's coming up Ohtani on that front. But regarding other races, I don't want to talk about manager of the year because it's stupid.
Pat Murphy again and John Schneider.
Yeah, I do wonder how the writers will approach National League Manager of the Year
I think
because
they're going to give it to Pat Murphy. Like you take you like the Brewers were even if they won if they won last year, like they traded their closer and they were better. And also said closer has on a national, story level had a very bad year, which that's not really a Murphy thing. That's more of a it's more of a Matt Arnold thing, but yeah, it's Pat Murphy.
yeah, it could be Pat Murphy. Especially I think what makes that case especially enticing is the fact that there haven't really been like the playoff teams, all the other National League playoff teams you kind of expected to be there.
Yeah,
If I
you just didn't
recall
expect the Brewers
correctly.
to be the number one, the comfortable best team. I mean, like I don't know, they're 8 games better than the Dodgers. Like I don't know how you can give it to anybody else.
Yeah, that is the situation there. But looking at the National League playoff picture, I'm trying to get the my Wi-Fi is bumming out for some reason. But like
Yeah,
Phillies, you expected to be there, Mets, you expected to be there, Cubs, you expected to be there, Dodgers, obviously, you expected to be there, and Padres, you kind of expected to be in the mix. Yeah, the Brewers, even if you did expect them to be there, you did not expect them to succeed at this level. I do think the Marlins manager case is still extremely
alive.
interesting.
That's fine.
I think if I were a voter, I would vote for the Marlins manager.
You would vote for Clayton McCullough.
Yes.
Be honest, did you know his name?
No. 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 I
Oh, that's great.
yeah. It's like how in Madden football, Bill Belichick never agreed to have his likeness be used. So anytime he played Madden from 2000 to 2023, it would be like it would be New England
Patriots
coach.
had like a generic white guy as their manager, as
Yeah,
their head coach.
it would be New England coach or like a random name like Griffin Murphy
Yeah, I
or
was just say it's got to be the most generic name of all time.
Exactly.
Here
That's
comes Coach Brian Smith out to lead the six-time Super Bowl champion New England Patriots.
exactly. Um, so it would be, yeah, that's how I view Clayton McCullough. Um, but for other awards, I can let you take a victory lap on Nick Kurtz.
Yeah, that one's I mean, dude, he wrapped that up. I talk about how Otani wrapped up like National League MVP in the matter of a couple weeks. Nick Kurtz did it in one night. Like he literally like Jacob Wilson has been like a little, I mean, he's injured right now, but he's also just been, a little more underwhelming since like the start of June, start of July. Yeah, Nick Kurtz is just taking it. Like he's I don't know, man, like he's just incredible.
Right.
He's at 3.2 F4, I believe,
Right.
but not qualifying.
3.5 F4 at this point.
So yeah,
Um,
he ranks tied for 26th in Fangraphs wins above replacement among all position players despite playing 83 games. He is point 0.1 behind Juan Soto.
that's ridiculous.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and it definitely helps. You know, at least F4 wise. I think Carlos Narvaez had 2.9 and maybe Wilson had like 3.0 beforehand, and they've both gone down since the All-Star
Yeah.
break. Yeah, Narvaez
Um,
has struggled. Wilson has not been up to his level. And yeah, Roman Anthony might join like the finalist realm because
mhm.
he's doing as well as he is right now.
I do very much wonder how NL Rookie of the Year will go because Isaac Collins should be the guy. I've heard like virtually zero national attention on him, like not even a little bit. Like I'm like if I'm going like if I don't follow baseball and I've only looked on social media, like Jacob Mizorowski is the Rookie of the Year. Like even though he has pitched a lot less than Collins has hit, he got injured. Uh, like like that's the National League rookie who's gotten the attention. Even like Chase Burns has gotten more attention uh, than Isaac Collins.
Yeah. It's I guess it's not even a market thing because they're both NL Central teams. It's just
Or
Isaac
even like Drake
Collins.
Baldwin. Yeah.
Isaac Collins wasn't supposed to be this good, so they're just kind of acting acting like he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's definitely the front runner for National League Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
He has a 137 weighted runs created plus. He leads all National League rookies in F4, 833 OPS, and yeah, 384 on base percentage. He's been great. He's played 99 games, so he's been there for the overwhelming majority of the Brewers season. Has helped them put them in the position that they're in right now. Yeah, it's kind of him without a doubt for now.
I
And
got unless like Jacob Marcy keeps playing like this,
right.
which
Uh,
that would
if
be something.
if he
Marcy
went
is on like I don't know. I mean, well, he'll probably surpass the plate appearance necessity, but like he's on like that kind of like get rookie of the year votes despite not like a pro like surpassing the rookie thresholds and then being up for rookie of the year again the next year.
right,
It
yeah,
won't happen. He's going to graduate this year, assuming he, keeps playing. But that's the kind of run he's on right now.
yeah, 100%. Um, yeah, he has a 215 wager runs created plus right now. Despite only playing 16 games, he is fourth among National League position players in F4.
Yep.
That is pretty insane, for sure, with 1.4. Um, but yeah, so seems like the rookie of the year races are comfortable for now. Obviously, guys can go on slumps or other guys can get hot, but at least as of now, that's what it looks like. Um, but yeah, anything more before we want to get into players to highlight?
No, let's talk about some players to highlight.
Excellent. So yeah, now we will start with the lows, we end with the highs. So we will get into our Sunday, August 17, 2025 edition of Slightly Alarming Statistics. He's been barreling up the ball way less.
He's not missing bats. He's not getting the ball on the ground, and people are hitting it in the air more.
It's been so bad. He is getting a
Slightly alarming.
Yeah. So for my slightly alarming today, I'm talking about Nick Castellanos, who has been struggling quite a bit for the Phillies as of late. He is since July 12th, slashing 167, 190, 265 for a 455 OPS. That makes for a 20 weighted runs created plus, and with his defense also being a thing, is a minus 1.1 FWAR. This estimates that he's lost a full game for the Phillies over the last month of play, essentially, because July 12th is before the All-Star break. Among the 178 qualifiers in this span, he ranks fifth worst in batting average, dead last in OBP, sixth worst in slugging, second worst in OPS, dead last in weighted runs created plus, and that minus 1.1 FWAR is the worst of the entire sport, regardless of qualifying or not. His average exit velocity has gone from 88.6 miles per hour before the span to just 83.8 miles per hour in the span. That's about a 5 mile per hour decrease. And it's also the fifth lowest among the 223 hitters with at least 50 batted balls in this span. So he obviously isn't hitting the ball very hard. In fact, he's hitting it rather softly. And on top of that, he's hitting it on the ground a lot more and in the air a lot less. His ground ball rate has gone from 37.5% before the span to 47.4% in this span, a 10% increase. And his line drive rate has gone from a 28.9% line drive rate before the span to a 14.5% in this span, which is the 10th lowest among the 247 qualified hitters, according to the batted ball profile page on Baseball Savant. His fly ball rate, however, has remained unchanged. It's around 30% both before and after the span, but his barrel rate on fly balls has gone from 25.6% before the span to 12.5% in the span. He's cut it more than in half. His pull rate on fly balls has also gone down, although not to a significant degree. It's gone from 24% to 20%, which is definitely not good at all. Before this span, Nick Castellanos had a 41.8% sweet spot rate, which was the seventh highest among the 229 hitters with 150 plus batted balls before the span. But that 41.8, has turned to 26.3 in this span, the 15th lowest among the 223 hitters, as mentioned before, with at least 50 batted balls. So Nick Castellanos is not hitting a lot of deep drives to left field to make it a 4-0 game. He is hitting a lot of soft ground balls to make another out in the Phillies lineup, and for that reason, he is getting a slightly alarming.
Yes, Nick Castellanos.
Slightly alarming.
So yeah, we are doubling down as Nick Castellanos is also my slightly alarming. Although I looked at a much smaller sample, which is, shows with it being a smaller sample, it is definitely more extreme. In his last 11 games, Nick Castellanos is slashing 093, 093, 093 for a 186 OPS.
Sure, okay, that's fair.
Out of 189 qualifiers in that span, his average on-base percentage, slugging, and OPS are all the worst. Out of 278 hitters to see 100 plus pitches in the span, his expected WOBA is the fourth worst. His strikeout rate has gone from 21% before the span to 28% in this span, and his walk rate has gone from 5.2% to 0%. In his last 11 games, he has 0 walks, and he's one of just 7 qualifiers in the span with 0 walks. Part of this has to do with his chase rate going from 35% to 46%. Out of 271 hitters to see 50 plus pitches out of the zone in this span, Castellanos has the 8th highest chase rate. And he is hitting the ball softer, as his average exit velocity has gone from 88.0 miles per hour to 83.4 miles per hour. Out of 196 hitters with 25 plus batted balls in the span, Castellanos has the 12th lowest average exit velocity. And as you mentioned, his line drive rate has definitely gone down. His line drive rate has gone from 27% before the span to 13% in this span. Out of 196 hitters, his line drive rate ranks 13th lowest. And his rate of batted balls being hard hit line drives has gone from 14.2% to 6.5%. Along with that, his rate of fly balls being pulled has gone from 25% to 9%. He's hit 9 fly balls in the span, only 1 has been pulled, and that's
Would it be 11%?
Or I think he has 11 batted ball, or 11.
Okay, that would make more sense.
11 fly balls. Yeah, I did the math wrong there. 11 fly balls, and only 1 has been pulled. Part of the reason why he has 0 extra base hits in this 11 game span And his ideal attack angle rate has gone from 68% to 40%. So I guess he's not approaching contact at the right angle or at the ideal angle according to StatCast as well as he was before. So Nick Castellanos from both of us is getting a whoops. There we go. So that does it for slightly alarming. Now we go from the lows to the highs, where we were talking players or subjects that have been outperforming expectations with our Sunday, August 17, 2025 edition of How About That?
He's striking out less, walking more, and he's also making better contact.
Turning into a strikeout machine just out of nowhere.
He's been excellent all around this year.
And he is getting a
How about that?
Yeah, that's right. For my How About That today, I am crossing a team off the list, the 26th team that we have crossed off the list, meaning that after this, there are only 4 remaining. I'm talking about the first Chicago White Sox of this year. I'm talking about, you look like you're making a face like you also have this guy.
possibly.
Do you also have Lenyn Sosa?
Yeah.
Wow, we're doubling up on both today. That's really funny. That sucks because there are so many good options this week. But hey, that means more for next week, assuming guys keep going. But since July 28th, Lenyn Sosa is slashing 322, 377, 613 for a 990 OPS and a 172 weighted runs created plus. His average bat speed is up a tick in the span from 72.3 miles per hour to 73.1. That is a close to 1 mile per hour average bat speed increase. And this has helped him get a little bit more in front of the ball. He's not really standing anywhere different. There's nothing different to his stance that I was able to find, but his average attack direction has gone from 1 degree to the opposite field to 2 degrees to the pull side. And additionally, his average contact point has been about 1.5 inches more out front, which has allowed him to be the kind of hitter that he's been over the last few weeks. Sosa's 29.4% ground ball rate since July 28th ranks second lowest among the 74 hitters with at least 50 batted balls in that span. On that same list, he also ranks 7th in fly ball rate at 35.3%. And additionally, he's gone from pulling 18.8% of his fly balls before the span to 38.9% of his fly balls. That's a 20.1% increase. And he's also barreled 9 out of 18 fly balls, making a 50% rate that is tied for the 3rd highest among the 179 hitters with at least 10 fly balls in this span. In general, 27.8% of his fly balls have been barreled and pulled, which is very good. And also in this span, 9.8% of his total batted balls have been pulled and barreled fly balls. So just total batted balls, you're looking at pulled and barreled fly balls, 10%, and that is the highest on the aforementioned list of 74. Throughout this span, he is hitting 382 and slugging 735 against all fastballs. And among the 223 hitters to face at least 100 fastballs in this span, he ranks 14th in slugging and tied for 16th in run value per 100 at 3.754. And his whiff rate against all fastballs has gone from 18.5% before the span to just 7.6% in the span, the 15th lowest on the aforementioned list. So Lenyn Sosa has been, just pulled fly ball maxing, if you will, and he is the first White Sox this year to receive a How About That?
Yes, Lenyn Sosa.
How about that?
So yeah, I am indeed doubling up with Lenyn Sosa. With doing 1 episode a week, you got to make sure you cross the teams off the list. So I'm glad that we are doing this. Because there's one obvious guy who we've done the team already, specifically on the Marlins, and we've done a couple Marlins as well. So it's not like we've been abandoning the team. But this one we had to get a White Sox, and we knew it was going to be hard. So we're doing Lenyn Sosa. But in his last 17 games, he's hitting 323 with a 990 OPS out of 178 qualifiers in the span. His slugging ranks 18th and OPS ranks 17th, which are around top 10%. But his expected numbers have actually been better than his actual numbers. Out of 203 hitters to see 200 plus pitches in the span, his expected batting average ranks 9th, expected slugging ranks 6th, and expected WOBA ranks 5th. His strikeout rate has gone from 23% before the span to 17% in this span, and his walk rate has gone from 2.7% to 7.2%. Also, his average exit velocity has gone from 90.2 miles per hour to 92.3 miles per hour, and his fly ball rate has gone from 28% to 35%. And out of 74 hitters with 50 plus batted balls in the span, his fly ball rate ranks 7th. His average exit velocity on fly balls has gone from 93.3 miles per hour to 97.1 miles per hour. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that, or a lot of this can lead to the fact that his barrel rate has gone from 8% to 20%. And out of 203 hitters, his barrel rate ranks 12th. And as you mentioned, he's pulling fly balls at a much higher rate. His rate of fly balls being pulled has gone from 19% to 39%. And part of that has to do with his attack direction going from 1 degree to the opposite field to 2 degrees to the pull side, as you mentioned. And this has all made him go from slugging 706 on fly balls to slugging 1176 on fly balls. Also, his ground ball rate is only 29% in this span, and out of 74 hitters, his ground ball rate is second lowest. So yeah, Lenny Sosa is getting a.
How about that?
So for the third time in show history, we have the same, both slightly alarming and how about that.
I don't remember the other 2 times. You could have told me this was the first time, I would have believed it.
Yeah, I think it happened earlier this year, or maybe it was prefaced as a possibility and it didn't happen. So maybe it was just one other time. But I know it happened in 2022. I actually went back to the episode because it was mentioned. It was Isak Paredes as the how about that, and AJ Pollock as the slightly.
Oh, that's a while ago then.
Yeah, because obviously
when AJ Pollock was a relevant enough player to make that list.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a while.
And when Isak Paredes was not good enough to be
yeah, right,
to be highlighted.
Right.
But yeah, that does it for players to highlight. Any final words?
Yeah, shout out to Nolan McLean for making his major league debut yesterday. I interviewed him back in April for justbaseball.com. He, not at this time last year, but as late as summer 2024, he was a two-way player. He was called up to Double-A Binghamton, struggled at both, and they went to him and said, "Hey, how about you just pitch now?" And ever since then, he's rocketed through Double-A and Triple-A, and then pitched five scoreless innings with 8 strikeouts yesterday against a red-hot Mariners lineup. So shout out to Nolan, and also there's going to be more where that came from. The Mets have 3 really, really good pitching prospects that are going to be making their way to the majors, hopefully by like opening day of next year. So, I mean, there's a lot of fun to be had on the mound at Citi Field in the coming years between McLean, Jonah Tong, and Brandon Sproat.
Yeah, that would be a cool thing. Yeah, the Mets obviously get the attention they get through all the money they spend and all the guys they sign, but if they're developing guys as well, as which was kind of the intention of hiring David Stearns as their president of baseball operations, then that can make them a very dangerous organization.
All 3 of them were drafted under Billy Epler.
Right. But obviously pitching development.
Yes.
There's definitely something that can happen between getting drafted and getting to the MLB. We see that with the White Sox all the time. But yeah, so yeah, that shall do it for this installment of Above Replacement Radio. We hope you enjoyed this one. If you were listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and want to watch the conversation as it happens, go to the YouTube channel. It is called Above Replacement Radio. If you're on the YouTube channel and just want to check out the audio, go to the Apple Podcasts and Spotify streams. They're also called Above Replacement Radio. On the YouTube channel, you can find the guest interviews playlist. We've had Jeff Passan on, we've had Chris Rose, Foolish Bailey, Sarah Langs, Mike Petriello, Mark Simon 4 times, Matt Brash, the Mariners reliever, who's
shout out Matt Brash, by the way. Saw him yesterday.
Yeah, Matt Brash, who has a ERA in the low 1s, I'm pretty sure still. At this point in the year,
I believe it's 1-4 something.
Yeah, if you want to find
maybe
out
1-3.
How he developed his breaking
139.
ball. Yeah, 139. If you want to hear how he developed his breaking ball, go check out our interview with him that we did this past winter. But yeah, other than that, follow us on social media. Follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran, and follow the show Instagram at above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you next time, where we will be talking all the happenings in Major League Baseball. Once again, see you then.
This conversation is over.